Making the sequel to a game like Destiny is hard.
Hello fellow YouTubers, this is Zuma and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to cover what we as longtime players want to see in Destiny 2. Now that we've had a couple of days to play the beta, we feel it is the perfect time to make a video about this subject. First off, let us preface this video by stating that when the first beta came out in the summer of 2014, we were new to the world of first-person shooters. In a sense, we were all new to the type of gameplay Destiny provided, as it was the first of its kind. A combination of first-person shooters and RPG had never been done before in such a grand scale. So in our opinion, we were okay with what Bungie delivered in its first game for the most part. We know there were many game features lacking in vanilla Destiny, like the absence of a good story.
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. I will. I know.
Will what?
Now that we've had a few days to play the beta, we think it's the perfect time to talk about what we want to see in Destiny 2 come September. And I'm sure most of us are all excited to see what kind of changes Destiny 2 will deliver in the end. So with this, let's get started with our top 5 list. Let's talk about the replay value of Destiny. The one thing we love about Destiny in its current iteration is its replay value. The game really makes one grind for loot and rewards. Who here is still waiting to get that perfect IS Luna or palindrome? I know I am. Yes, the horror of the grind during vanilla Destiny is still fresh in our minds, but we think we can all agree that Bungie quickly figured out how to make the reward system less punishing by the launch of the Taken King expansion. To this day, we do not like that such reward system is still limited to a few storyline quests or tucked away in the randomness of RNG. And we are excited that Destiny 2 will introduce a variety of patrol missions like Lost Sector, flashpoints, and adventures that will reward players for exploring and completing these missions during patrol. Now that we are on the subject of patrol, let's dive into that subject next. Let's be honest, patrol gameplay was dead on arrival in Destiny. Not even with the addition of the Dreadnought in the Taken King did patrols play any significant role besides getting you to your next objective. There was no replay value for them once missions were completed. Yes, public events were fun for a while and did help you farm for stuff in the beginning, but to the average player, patrols quickly got boring. It would greatly benefit Bungie to make drastic improvements to patrol, like instant matchmaking for events like Archon's Forge and Court of Oryx. There is no need for players to go to orbit to join in on these types of public events or swing in and out of maps to try and catch a different server with players doing such activities. This just caused a lot of frustration and made it hard for players that were late adopters of new content to have a much harder time completing necessary quests and gain Grimoire, as veteran players no longer had to go back to do those events once done. Hopefully, with the latest information given to us by our friends over at IGN, the addition of Lost Sectors, Adventures, and Flashpoints in Destiny 2 will entice players to go back and play them over and over again for new and exciting loot drops. Next, let's talk about strikes. The thing we want to see more than anything in Destiny 2 is an improvement on strikes. Strikes have come a long way from year one. The addition of medals, modifiers, and a scoring system have greatly increased the replay value of them, and rewards like strike-specific loot and bounties give players a reason to grind them more. But we do not like how repetitive strikes are in its current form. We would like to jump into a strike playlist and not encounter the same strike again in a long time. Yes, we know, some strikes are locked away due to story plot lines, and the game itself may not have the resources to handle such a request now. However, with the loss of first-generation consoles, we hope Bungie deploys better measures for a more fun and entertaining strike playlist. And we are excited to see that Destiny 2 will have more complex and richer strikes in the game. During the beta, we got to play one of the new strikes, which in our opinion had a very similar feel to a strike in Destiny. The maps are a lot bigger now and more creative, but it still feels like your average run-of-the-mill game type. But it is a beta, and we still don't know how the reward system is going to work out, so we are holding out judgment on that until the final release. Let's continue the story missions in Destiny. Story missions on the first couple of runs are fun but quickly get tedious and drop by the wayside by the average player. Time-locked secret missions were a great addition to the story during the Taken King. It added another level to the game that I think we were all craving for since the launch of Destiny. Players cared more about them when secret quests were attached to them. The time-sensitive mission Lost to Light, which had the Black Spindle exotic sniper rifle, is a perfect example, but to this date, story missions are left wanting. there are new reports of Bungie taking a more proactive approach to this aspect of the game in Destiny 2. And why not? These events were a lot of fun. However, Bungie could add more replay value to these secret missions by simply adding different perks to the exotics or legendary items that drop within these types of missions. But with Bungie saying that all weapons will have identical perks upon discovery, makes us worry that players will get bored of doing these secret missions quickly. We still don't know how intrinsic perks will change our in-game loot drops, but in some of the information we've received, they say each intrinsic perk will slightly boost a weapon's attributes, which will open the door to full customization in Destiny 2, something that's been severely lacking in this franchise. And I hope that Bungie takes more time in crafting secret missions on top of the side quests we already know will be available in the upcoming sequel. Exotics buried in time-sensitive missions are a lot of fun in our opinion. Finally, let's conclude this video and talk about the Crucible. We think Bungie needs to go big and get the PvP aspect of this game right at launch. After a few hours of grinding the new quick play and competitive features of the beta, we can confirm how some changes to the Crucible, like a longer time to kill, made the gameplay much more exciting. The hint at making D2 more competitive is all over the beta, and Bungie has taken steps forward to allow for a more competitive scene in Destiny with the new game mode Countdown. However, without adding stuff like ranked matches or dedicated servers, we feel Destiny will never turn into that great competitive game like a Halo or a Call of Duty. But as of this video, no plans for ranked matches have been announced by Bungie. But in the words of Bungie themselves, they have continually stated that Destiny was never meant to be a competitive PvP game. They are more focused on the first-person shooter role-playing game aspect of the franchise. There was an article in Kotaku which explained some of the changes coming to PvP that will make the game more stable through peer-to-peer connections. But at the end of it all, it is still peer-to-peer connections, and the dangers of DDoSing is still very possible with such connections. One last thing before we let you go. Skill-based matchmaking ruins PvP gameplay, especially in a game that doesn't have a ranked game mode. And this is coming from a filthy PvP casual with a 1.2 KD. With skill-based matchmaking, usually the more skilled player are placed with less skilled players in PvP. However, this changes the entire dynamic of the PvP encounter for the most skilled player in the match, and makes the gameplay less entertaining for them. As well, the fact that some of those weaker players don't follow a specific strategy or aren't as aware of their surroundings, this forces the most skilled player in the match to try and save face and move around differently around the map, given that flanking and position holding go out the window. Yes, removing skill-based matchmaking will probably render a more quick matches with the mercy rule, but the fun factor will remain for the most skilled in the game. Therefore, it behooves the developers of this game to create a competitive scene that only matches players of the same caliber against each other. Pairing good players with mediocre ones ruins the fun for the most skilled of all. This is just the beta, and we know Bungie is taking in a lot of information this week. Hopefully they can get this done sooner after the launch of Destiny 2. And with that, I leave you all until next time. Hey, let us know in the comments what you all thought about the beta. If you made it this far and think this video sucks, give it a thumbs down. If you liked it, please do the cardinal 3 for this video and make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video if you feel it was informative. There will be links below with all relevant information. We'll be pushing more videos in the next couple of weeks going over everything we liked and disliked about the beta and stuff we want to see in the Destiny 2 launch. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.